put down, so effort finding himself a little bit extra gas to work with. Just continuing to work on arrow forces. We're still gonna see whether he actually tries to go for the tech switch. For the most part, also Light, interestingly enough, is gonna produce some Goliaths. Actually, a smart idea, I think, just to have some support on the ground, not just with Valkyries, because Valkyries sometimes tend to just kind of fly off and be a little bit vulnerable just by being in the air. Is also starting to produce some Hydras out there. Has Evo chambers up there, so should be producing some upgrades alongside. But meanwhile, his opponent, Light, has a huge amount of Valkyries, adding in Goliaths, going for tanks, weapons 1 upgrades on his ground forces right now. So I think sooner or later he's going to want to push out into that natural at the upper right position, just penetrate the natural and go straight up to the main, and hopefully win that way. But meanwhile, effort seems like it's just going to stick to lair tech, not going to go for any massive teching. Could rather bite him in the ass rather than anything else, but I think a Defiler at this point in the game would actually be a smart idea. Really, a tech army, Defilers cripple tech armies so badly. Those Dark Swarms help, but the main helping point really are the Plagues, because a Plague over the entire Valkyrie number, and the Valkyries become worthless in a few seconds. He has some Vultures out there with speed upgrades, no mines, but they're just going to go out there, try to be annoying, try to spot things out. Effort is going for a base here at the 9 o'clock position. Do believe that it's the main there at the 9 o'clock position, but it's not going to manage. We're going to see what she managed to do something. Actually, no, never mind. I think that's the natural there. The secondary there. Meanwhile, now, as I speak, big drop here. No, not too big, but Hydra's going to drop towards this new location of Lights. Going to take down a lot of turrets to open things up a little bit for the Mutalisks, but Siege Tanks and Goliaths in position, so these Hydras overall not going to do too much economic damage. Picking off some SCVs, which are already starting to rebuild turrets, because he really wants some defenses. Meanwhile, it did go out and spot that 9 o'clock position of Efforts. 3 on 4 bases so far. Effort working on his 5th. Light still keeping up economically. You're doing a good job. Just kind of consolidating his forces, and Effort just going to go for drop strategies, working on his ground force upgrades. And I like the ground strategy the drop strategy. You just got to be careful. If Light spots them coming, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, because those Valkyries and those Wraiths, which he's still producing now, are just going to rip those Overlords to pieces. He's even added his Valkyries and his Wraiths on patrol at this point, adding in meanwhile an additional command center that he seems to want to float off towards the 6 o'clock position, I think. Overlords getting themselves ready here at that 2 o'clock, but Hydra's mostly across the ground right now. Barracks even coming to act as a spotter. Goliaths and tanks actually outside from natural expansion. Some of the Overlords coming in. Valkyries trying to not get caught out of position. Going to kill an Overlord, a Mutalisk. Now the Overlord's going to split themselves up. And the Valkyries, unfortunately, due to their nature of fire, kind of just firing all over the place, not managing to pick off too many Overlords. But meanwhile, this ground force of Light's going to be pushed back a little bit, going to lose a tank in the process. Goliath's not in enough number to fight back the Mutalisks here. Unfortunate disadvantage here for Light, but now finally moves in with his Valkyries and Wraiths. Should be able to do a heavy amount of damage to this Mutalisk, but unfortunately for him, he's taking a heavy amount of fire from those Hydras. And the Siege Tanks, a bunch of the Siege Tanks at the front went down, but this time Effort's going to go here for the front. Mutalisks all go down finally, but he has a lot of Hydras here. We're going to see how close he tries to push it. Is going to back off at this point, just going to clean up everything that was close to that position, so kind of making the route to push a little bit smaller. Vlad at this point only mining from 2 bases. His main fully mined out. Don't think his natural is doing the best ever. Meanwhile, now the science vessels finally going to start coming out there, and the command center being forced to be rebuilt, because I do believe it was taken down. I think actually was trying to go for that inside 8 o'clock position, which is not the safest when you got a Zerg running around the 6 o'clock position. Smart, understandable why he wanted to go for that, because less, shorter resupply route, not less trouble. But now he's going to find himself the victim of a drop. We're going to see what he actually has his forces in the right position, because this is going to be a drop on his main. There's a significant amount of tech and supply at risk, and this base here at the 3 o'clock is such an important lifeline for Light. Light cannot at any point at all risk losing this. He has some siege tanks in position being ready for this, but he doesn't, from his minimap, he doesn't see this coming in. We're going to see whether Effort is indeed going to be dropping towards the 3 o'clock position. Has some drops going on the left side of the map, where he's trying to spot everything out, trying to kind of put down additional bases, or rather just putting down additional bases. Light, smartly has some vultures running all over the place, trying to see what's going on. He's kind of in the blind. Has even a dropship in there, so he might be going for a vulture drop or tank drop. At one point, some of the Light's newer bases try to deny them, make sure there's not a heavy amount of mining out there. Ooh, look at all that Scourge. Huge. It's a huge fleet of Scourge out there. for effort. He also has a fairly large hard drive here, and it does seem like he's finally getting himself ready for a drop because I see a lot of rovers flying in. It's a lot of Scourge coming into position as well. Nothing but mines and siege tanks. A lot of turrets at the ready as well. And we're going to be seeing the attack probably come in from the right side. There are a lot of turrets focused towards there, so there's going to be a lot of fire. Meanwhile, now the Science Pistols coming in close by. No drop yet. Scourge flying in first. They're going to get taken down. Meanwhile, the Hydra's going to go here for this new inside 9 o'clock position. Only a few siege tanks at the back to defend. Cities trying to come off the line to act as blockades, but it does seem like, some defensive majors are going to come down on the tank, so I think with that he's going to be able to defend this. And the Science is actually being completely distracted from that 9 o'clock position, so I'm not quite sure why effort didn't go for a drop at that 3 o'clock position. Maybe it was a fake out. Maybe he didn't really have that many forces inside overs, but I did see some Hydras in there. Scourge yet again going to fly all over this place, try to pick up as many stuff as they can. Almost every. Oof. A lot of aerial force getting taken down there. Science is going down, some Valkyries and Ro8s going down. Overlord, effort doing a good job of just going out there and play his style. Go out there, sacrifice. Has, I think, Carapace 2 upgrades on this Mutalisk. Unfortunately, the source videos I'm using aren't as high quality as the ones I usually have, so I can't quite see the numbers below. I can spot when it's a 1, but between the two, the difference between a 2 and a 3 is kind of hard to spot on those upgrades. Light's still producing some science, so hoping to get back into this. He's that 9 o'clock inside 9 o'clock position being constantly threatened by ground troops, and really the heavy amount of Scourge from effort really helping him out, trying to pick up as many ground forces, aerial forces as possible. Some of them are just going to run into death, but with not enough anti-air forces, really effort. Light's going to have some trouble saving all of his tanks because he's playing very defensive right now. Effort, meanwhile, getting additional bases all over the place, trying to just take the entire map. And when you have a Zerg play that takes the entire map, you're not really a very good position to play against him, because right now Effort has 6 bases, not all of which are fully mining, but he has 6 bases. Light, meanwhile, has 2 mining and 1 that he's desperately trying to saturate. Also going to pick up the 6 o'clock position, which is Scourge going to spot and be all over. Hydra's on the move. Look at the humongous Hydra number. We're going to see whether Light actually gets something done with this. Just now, Defiler might be worked out, so Effort really feeling comfortable at this point. We're going to see what this is just going to be for heavy Defiler play, which is going to be utilizing this for some heavy plagues. I believe that would be the best idea. Try to go for an attack, get a plague off, maybe get some Dark Swarms off as well. Would be an overall good strategy. Light's still trying to saturate and keep constant control of what he's doing. Just kind of try to put a somewhat defensive force so he can still reinforce the 6 o'clock position. He can spot at all times minerals on the low, so he's doing a good job of utilizing every single resource he has coming in, but he really needs some more of those. Stay in this the entire game. Vulture's still going to run around, spot the bases. Gotta spot this 2 o'clock, this natural here at the 2 o'clock. So yeah, 3 o'clock was special. 3 o'clock base was actually a main, and I'm just silly. Meanwhile, see Light with, I think that was 3-1 or 2-1 upgrades. I do see for a fact that the Mutalisk have, I think, 2 Carapace 2 upgrades. Greater Spire gonna be worked on alongside Defilers. So Effort gonna go for some Guardian action, maybe. Could be for Devourers actually, if Light keeps up some air forces, but he didn't really have that many. He's mostly switched to ground. Needs to work some more on his upgrades because he only had 2-1 from what I saw. Maybe had weapons 3, I'm not too sure. But he needs to get, you really need a heavy upgraded Terran army, mech army, to do that dent, to do that heavy amount of damage you need. Everett's still doing a good job of staying all across the map. Gonna go with Mutalisk here towards the 6 o'clock position. Just gonna keep a few of them there to take some of the shots as he flies away. And the Mule has final Lurkers coming into play to take out the eggs here towards the 6 o'clock position so we can enter that. Has a lot of Hydras rolling across the map, so we're going to see, might even go for dual prong attack if he wanted to, kind of attack the 6 o'clock position while also simultaneously attacking that inside 9 o'clock position, just kind of force Light to be all over the place because he doesn't have that large a force going for this mech army and not having quite as many resources to work with as Effort. He's really kind of rolled himself all over the map. Has decent enough defensive zone there near that 6. A lot of turrets, some tanks as well, but I'm actually going to see whether he manages to defend it if Effort goes for full-on attack. Still has a lot of forces out there expanding towards the Soul Cock position. This point is going to go for a huge number of Guardians, and these are of course are going to allow him to kind of be forced to cancel some of these, and also yeah, kind of give Light a spotter. Ooh, he can go for Guardians. Has a lot of tanks in here. Some of these Goliaths at the back, and my video just kind of lagged out a little bit there. I apologize. That was interesting. Love these source vids, man. Bunch of Guardians are going to come into play now. They're going to be raging everything, and of course, raging those turrets are going to allow the 6 o'clock position to be significantly vulnerable. The Guardians are going to be engaging these Goliaths. They're just going to try to take as many of them down as possible. Bunch of irradiates on these Guardians. That's going to cancel out that mass guardian attack towards the system position. Still some of these guardians attacking, try to get towards these tanks, but Goliaths are going to be focusing them down, and the guardians will go down. I'm sorry, the Goliaths will go down, but a bunch of the guardians, however, have gone down. The rest of them heavily damaged. Another commander going to be put down by Light. And I'm wondering exactly where he's going to try to expand with this one, because Effort's still kind of all over the place. I think he's putting on a hatchery. Yeah, inside 12 o'clock position has a hatchery there. Only bases that haven't been taken at this point in the game are the inside 8 o'clock position, which has something there. I don't know if that's a new base coming up. Oh, and the lower left-hand secondary. Those are pretty much the only 2 bases that haven't been picking up. So this is a very heavy late game match. We don't like going to go out here with vultures at the front, tanks at the back, and they're going to try to go off this. There's going to be a Dark Swarm, so all the siege tanks going to siege up, try to fire at everything that comes in. No auxiliary forces at the front to blockade, so any Zerglings that get through are going to do a heavy amount of damage. Look at those tanks just bit by bit going down, going to be forced to unsiege and run away. Despite weapons 3 and armor 2 upgrades, just with no auxiliary forces, you can't really fight back a Zerg army. You need Goliaths and vultures at the front to help you blockade. And unfortunately not really in a position to do that at this point. Some tanks still going to be attacked. So Light trying to push back, but even Overlord's coming into play as well. We're going to see what actually starts dropping on top of this. Light going to be pushed back all the way towards this inside 9 o'clock position. Zerglings, Hydras, and Overlords just all flying all over the place. Some mines going to help against some of these Zerglings, but the Zerglings and Hydras coming in very close. A few tanks at the back. So Light might still manage to push this back with way too few auxiliary units. Does push this back, but Effort does a good job of basically completely eliminating the threat he had towards his natural expo. Still mining a lot all over the place. His main might be dead, but every single other base is giving him a little bit of resources, meaning like Guardians are going to trying to lessen the forces here. I believe at that 3 o'clock position. But still, Effort really playing to his strength here, playing to his sacrificial style of Zerg play. While Light does have the superior forces, he doesn't really have the army or the resources to constantly resupply, while Effort just seems to just pop out some more forces all the time, just trying to run him in and try to pick off and hold down Light's number, because he knows that if Light cannot get a large number of tanks going, even if they're fully upgraded, they're still going to go down. So these vultures and tanks still do fight back, so Light does a great job of that, but every single time he has to fight these back, there's a slight delay towards his counterattack. On the opposite side, we do see Ultralisk Cameron coming up for Effort. He's also putting down this inside Torkok position, putting down Nidus Canals and Sunken Colonies, and it seems like his 2 o'clock position is going to be threatened at this point. That a Nidus Canal will come up in time, so Defouler should come into play to defend that. Hydrogen move coming in from the left, just acting as a delaying force, although the mines and siege tanks are going to delay him fully. Now the Zerg is trying to come in, trying to get some mine drags in, but just going to be forced to engage the mines or anything else. Nidus Canal going to come up here at the 2 o'clock position. So if Light, tries to go for that. Still going to be enough to save him. Lurkers holding here at that 6 Zerglings coming in Hydras, and it just seems like Effort has forces all across the map. Seems like he has enough to send everywhere. Light is doing a great job of holding. He always seems to have a few siege tanks to spare, just a few siege tanks popping out just the exact moment. Effort meanwhile has picked up the low left-hand secondary as well. So he's going to start mining again, and Effort significantly outbases Light here, really. And Light really needs to pick up a base for himself. I think that 2 o'clock position is it. Does have a command center coming up. There are workers and Zerglings in play, but they're not really going to be able to save this base. It's going to take a while for Light, of course, to pick that up once you take it from Zerg player, because you have to wait for that creep to go down and go away. But still, Effort doing a good job of kind of having forces everywhere. Zerglings here coming in inside 9 o'clock position. Just all of a sudden, Light in 30 seconds, I'm going to find himself. Wait a minute, I was supposed to have more minerals. Why can't I build siege tanks? No! And there you go, finally forces coming in from the back for Effort to deny, alongside some Dark Storms, his 2 o'clock position. And Light going to go for some vulture harassment, but even some economic harassment at this point is not going to bring him back too heavily in the game. So despite his very nice start, I actually think transitioning into mech wasn't the best idea. I actually think transitioning towards the Medic Marines, it would just suit his style. He does seem like he's trying to go more towards mech against Zerg players, and just trying to utilize that and take advantage of that. But of course, you lose a lot of maneuverability with that. And he tried to make up for it with aerial units, but at this point he has none, so he's just going for a heavy mech army, which just can't be resupplied fast enough, and he's just being rushed in fully. Hydras and Zerglings and Dark Swarms coming in, and even if these forces get taken down, Effort's gonna have more, and that's been the story these last few minutes. Just Effort has gone in, done damage. Light does GG finally, because these last 5 to 10 minutes he's been kind of fighting a more and more losing battle. So Effort meanwhile just evens up the position at 1-1. We're gonna see what more he manages to do, whether he manages actually to equalize the position and maybe even bring a comeback and get himself to the semifinals. Gonna see. GG guys, ranching up. That's listening. Hope you enjoyed.